This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? Thank you. Heck yeah. Yeah, we had a tremendous week. We deserve your applause this week. We had a fabulous week. And joining me in trying to duplicate that week will be WWE Hall of Fame return rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, King Gift Egbelu, the inventor of words, Mike Friday, the three-time Olympic sevens coach, and George Hook, the Irish rugby legend. They'll also be addressing what's on that slate, and it's chock full of goodies. But let's get to it. Guys, we had a great week, 61-31, and we collectively crushed it in Super Rugby. John, you tied Mike for best week at 17-6. Yours truly followed that, and Gift finished as we had a respectable winning record for the first time in a long time. Let's start
Is this the first time you've read this? I mean, you act like you've never read before. Is English like not your first language?
We got a new teleprompter.
It's like it's gone with the wind. It's more like gone with the dumbass. We need to be gone with 2 cents rugby.
John, we have a new teleprompter operator, and I apologize.
And what is it? And was the teleprompter, was it spelled was it like 4 PRs?
All right. John is muted in the earliest muting of a guest on this program in its history. But let's start with our new What Caught Your Eye segment. Mike, why don't you take us through what caught your eye this week?
Well, I thought the Premiership opened up fantastically well. That Leicester Sale game was physical, proper game of rugby. Leicester came out on top against a good Sale team, but it started the weekend in the Premiership off in the right way. Unfortunately, the rest of the Premiership didn't really live up to the billing, which is disappointing. But nonetheless, let's give hat tip to that physical Leicester team. Kind of roll back the years a little bit, so it makes it interesting going into the last week or two.
Gift.
Yeah, look, leave it to the Lions in the South Africa sweep to drop the ball when it mattered most, all right? Like, you clearly had the setup, and then boom, you're going to let the Scarlets absolutely demolish you? Oh, demolish is hard, but demolish. I'm going to say demolish because you ruined my whole pick. But it was a good play. We got 3 out of 3 and we went 3 and 1. Yeah, you can't go with that, you know.
You were robbed, Gift. That was adding value.
It was rigged. Rigged.
Unfortunately, Gift, you lumped them all into one bet, so your pick of the week lost as a result.
I mean, again, I had a feeling in my mind. I was like, the Lions are going to mess this up for me because they're always the last ones to do it. But I wanted to believe in them, for them to not pull a mat for once. And lo and behold.
Lions. This was the Lions.
Yes. World Rugby, why are you controlling them?
Actually, I think World Rugby might have bought them for the week.
That or a bunch of Irish now play for the Lions.
Well, there's a new thread for you. There's a new thread. Speaking of which,
say it over and over, Matt, the joke doesn't get any better if you say it over and over. It gets repetitive, okay? So you don't have to say the same thing over and over and over. If nobody laughs the first time, I guarantee you they're not going to laugh the third time you say it.
Are you fucking serious? You're the
there you go again.
Saying it over and over again.
Are you
apoplectic here? I don't know how to continue. John, what caught your eye this week?
Sound like an otter. Are you?
More like a seal.
I tell you what caught my eye. Same thing caught Mike's eye was Leicester. It was that to me. Those lineouts that they had, I thought that was professional rugby. It was so freaking well done. The way they go straight into a maul off the line. What a great game. It was so fun to watch. It was a good freaking rugby game.
Well, I'm stuck in the storm week with MLR trying to figure out what in the hell they're trying to accomplish with this thing. You got this weekend, we had games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then it kind of starts all over again with teams being shorthanded. I don't know what the result of that's going to be, but what do I know?
The results really? Last week they had the games at the exact same time.
No, but this time
at least they're spacing them out and putting them on different nights. This is good, Matt, not bad.
Ooh. Who's going on a Monday and a Tuesday night to these games? Nobody.
Have you seen the games? Who's going on a Saturday or Sunday?
Boom.
Hey, listen. when when they don't water down the lineups, they have a decent product, but they can't afford to water down the product. They're not at that stage yet. All right, we have to move on. We're pressed for time. Player of the week. The nominees are Blair Murray, the number 15 of the Scarlets, shredded the Toothless Lions for 2 tries, beat 6 defenders, and added 83 yards on the ground in a big road win in Johannesburg, ruining GIF's South African sweep of the Welsh teams. Jacob Umaga, the number 10 of Benetton. He commanded his fellow Romans in their slaying of the anything-but Warriors from Glasgow, who are in 3rd place, and put his side right back in the thick of it. And Manuel Ardao, the number 6 of Miami. On Sunday, he was player of the match against DC. Just 4 nights later, he was player of the match again versus NOLA with 2 vital tries, key tackles, and some rugged runs. Mike, who's your player of the week?
Mate, it's straightforward for me. I'm gonna back my fellow short people. Blair Murray, 15s from Scarlets, the Kiwi Welshman as he's known. What a place to go, away from home, muck up GIF's bet, but some performance by the Scarlets, some performance by Blair Murray. He's a cheeky chappy, but he's a ball of muscle, and he gets the job done. So he's my man.
Yeah, John.
I just can't. I can't I can't be with a legendary coach Mike, because poor King Egbelu, that was his big game, and they had it. That was the game you didn't worry about. You knew the Lions were going to kill them. You knew it going in, and then they blow it. So I've got to go with Umaga. That's a great Italian name out of Benetton.
Well, that criteria, you're a stickler for criteria. Gift.
Oh man, look, I gotta give it on the first 2, but you know what? I'm gonna have to throw a little bit of the wrench and give it to Manuel Ardao. Like, this is the second weekend in a row that he's been able to do it. I didn't give it to him last one because, I forgot who it was. What's his name from Northampton? That was just overall had to be the number 1 on that one. Yeah, I was talking about Freeman, but like
Freeman. And Matt put it on his Twitter as Freddie Freeman. The first baseman for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I didn't notice it until he sends me a text, and I'm like, I put it out in the newsletter. It all went out. And I'm like,
and all 18 of your burner accounts.
Oh, torture, absolute torture. And for him to be the one to find me on it was just the worst. But at least he's paying attention, and thank you, John. I'm going with Mike. I'm going with Blair Murray and Scarlets, because Gift, you were too greedy. You were gluttonous in trying to make it 4, and that was hurtful to the Welsh people.
Don't you talk about the king, you peasant.
All right, before we break for commercial, we have Gift's favorite segment,
Grown Ass Man.
The nominees are Jordy Barrett, the number 12 from Leicester, echoing George Hook's opinion that he should have been in the starting lineup versus Northampton. The Kiwi had 2 tries, 2 assists for tries, 65 meters gained, 3 turnovers, 1, making for a career game for most players, but he added 14 tackles from the center position, which is grown-ass man stuff. That's number 1. Peter O'Mahony, Munster's number 6. In his last match at Thomond Park, he ran over Father Time and the Ulster defense, being his thug self on both sides of the ball, adding a key try that sent the fans into a frenzy. And Jed Melvin, number 6 of New England. Mike's guy had a try to go with 13 carries and 20 tackles in a hard-fought win versus a very tough Chicago team in Quincy, Massachusetts. Mike, who's your grown-ass man?
Oh, man, I feel like I'm cheating on Jed, but I'm going to have to cheat on him. I've got to give it to the Munster man. The romantic in me. He's done a job last home. He is a thug. He's a proper thug. Looks like he lived up to his billing, and he delivered both sides of the ball. So, Peter O'Mahony for me, the Munster number 6.
Mike, you're a man amongst men with that pick. John, who's your pick?
I'm going with Jordy Barrett, because if he's a grown-ass man, he sure ain't Irish. He has to be Kiwi, because Kiwis are grown-ass men. Irish just lose.
Gift.
Yeah, look, obviously George said that he should have played last week, but, to use him as this week and just absolutely bully people makes perfect sense. Got to give it to Jordy Barrett to show why, again, the Irish choke. choke so hard because
All right, we're gonna have an issue. We're gonna have an issue because I'm going with Peter O'Mahony, like Mike. So now we are deadlocked at 2 apiece. The decider is going to be.
First time in show history, Matt has actually understood what a tie meant.
All right,
That's
to
right.
break the tie.
I'm going to go with the consensus. No, everybody picks somebody different.
So we're going with Jed then.
To break the tie. John, pick a number between 1 and 3.
How about you motorboat my That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Ding, ding, ding. Peter O'Mahony.
Is this week's grown-ass man.
Let's take a break. Bring in George. Then we'll bring you guys back for picks after that.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
And now for the Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network. The struggling Seattle Seawolves had 2 choices going into Utah. Lose by a lot of points or lose by a few. At least that's the way the bookies saw it. But they didn't know that Thor, in the form of Nick Boyer, would come off his couch and guide the Seawolves to the most improbable of season-saving wins. Boyer punctuated his triumphant MLR return as he played a key role in the pivotal final moments as Seattle scored and stunned the Warriors at death. And that is your Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
And we're back, and once again, we're welcoming in the legend that is George Hook. George, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, in one sense, it's not been a fantastic week with like big stories. And yet, in another way, there are some stories that are terribly important that in another week you and I might have missed, you know? And it's worth today talking about them.
All right, well, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to our recurring segment.
Headlines with Hook.
First headline, Peter O'Mahony's last hurrah at Toman Park.
If you go, I'm sorry, every now and again it must drive you mad that I go back into previous centuries, you know. But if you look over the history of international and interprovincial rugby, invariably Irish players hold the record for the number of caps. So bear with me, in the 1950s it was Jack Kyle, and Willie John McBride, and so on. Why? Well, one is our pool numbers are smaller, but secondly, we tend to be more loyal to players than other countries. So O'Mahony is yet another, and like we're in an interesting year. We've seen Cian Healy at prop forward, Conor Murray at scrum half, and O'Mahony, if you add up their number of caps, it's probably a best part of 1,000. So O'Mahony is pretty special. He comes from a great club, Cork Constitution. He comes from a great school, Presentation College Cork. And he has been an outstanding leader of men. So that he should finish in Thom Park, I think was very fitting. And Thom Park is very much a kind of a citadel of rugby almost. It remains the only ground in the world where total and complete silence is observed for place kickers of the opponent.
Well, we have witnessed in recent history that not being the case a couple of times. But overall, you're right. But, this...
It's the thing about me, like you've got to give me a certain amount of freedom in terms of slight example.
Never! Okay, let's move on to our second topic. Jordy Barrett proving you correct.
Well, he didn't prove me correct. He proved every single person who knows anything about the game How Leinster could leave the best centre in the world, and there's no doubt about that, on the bench for the semi-final of a European Championship just defies common sense. Barrett has been very good, either because of his contract or because he just happens to be a nice guy. He hasn't gone public on his feelings. I reckon he is not a happy camper. And now the other thing is, Leinster have signed another All Black centre in the shape of Ione for next year. Is Ione going to be thinking to himself, hold on here, I'm okay if they're playing nobody, but if they're playing an important game, they're not going to pick me. So, just slightly going back, was there any other reason why Cullen didn't pick Barrett? And as you know, this week, the British and Irish Lions was selected and Henshaw didn't make it. Now, was Cullen trying to get Henshaw into the shake-up? It's the only reason I can think of. Nothing else comes to it. Barrett has been a wonderful contributor. He could have been a better contributor, not just in this match, but I can think of a lot of games this season where he would have had a more dynamic effect. I feel sorry for him, to be honest.
Well, you know what? It would be very un-Barrett-like for him or any of his family members to ever go public with any kind of feeling of discontent.
True. Absolutely. I mean, they are real rugby people, as you would imagine, coming from a real rugby nation. New Zealand hasn't got too much to offer, other than wonderful scenery and rugby, and a lot of sheep. Other than that, not a lot.
Nothing going on, right? Nothing going on.
Nothing.
No. We expect your letters as soon as this taping airs. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Our final headline, Benetton dismantling Glasgow.
I honestly, rarely have I come on this program and said, I just haven't got a clue. And I don't have a clue. What is happening in Italy is very strange. Like the Italian under-20s are doing well. The Italian women are doing well. And even the national team is better than Wales, which is saying something. Now, in the same weekend as Benetton demolished Glasgow, Leinster demolished Egbelu and scored 11 tries in the process, winning by 76 points to nothing or whatever. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I know this much. Italy are vitally important to European rugby. Vitally important. You can have all the people in the world saying, let's bring in Georgia and let's kick out Italy. It won't make any difference. Italy are terribly important to this game. And the answer is not to suddenly go down to South Africa and say, how are you guys? Have you anything else to do on a Saturday afternoon? Why don't you come up here and play? That's not the answer. So I can't answer it, to be honest.
This pigs are flying, snowballs in Hades, and George can't answer it.
Yeah,
amazing.
Where is Glasgow's pride? Like, if Glasgow are playing the match doesn't mean anything, if they're not terribly interested. Like, as a player and as a coach, I was involved in games that didn't matter. But you never went on the pitch saying, we just don't care. And the question should be asked of Glasgow, do they really care? Because the problem here is not Glasgow. Who gives a hoot? Why would anybody care about Glasgow? And the only reason is the message it sends about this competition.
George, thank you for another
Headlines with Hook. Pleasure.
We'll be right back after this. You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. And we are back, guys, and it's time to make some picks. Let's start with the URC. Mike, who do you like?
I'm going to his favourite place, South Africa, and I'm going to have the Stormers to do a proper job on the Cardiff.
John.
Zebre got a mud hole stomped in them last week. My God, that was the wrong side of an ass whooping. They are going back to Italy. They are better than this. Leicester was mad. I think they not only cover, I think they win the home game.
Gift.
Yeah, look, you know what? Let's continue with the beatdown of South Africa on Wales. Bulls absolutely ready to demolish the Dragons. 33.5, I think, is just the right amount.
I'm going to go with the Sharks. I think there's going to be a letdown for Scarlets after that big win against the Lions, and the Sharks are a much better team than the Lions, so I'm going with the Sharks. Let's come back to this side of the pond with the MLR. Mike, who do you like in the MLR?
Well, because I feel like I cheated on him in the grown-ass man, I'm back with Jed and his boys. I think New England go away and do a job at Miami, and they'll cover that 7 easy.
John.
Miami's schizophrenic. You know, you can't figure out which team they are. They play really well at times, and at times they look awful. But Anthem is somebody that's not schizophrenic. They would have to improve to suck. I mean, to get up to like they suck, they would have to get better. I mean, it'd be like training camp and like workouts and like CrossFit and a bunch of training to get up to suck. That's how bad they are. They're losing by 20-plus points every single game. At one point in the beginning of the season, they were close. Looks like they might get a win. They've never had a win in their entire history of their club. They ain't getting it this week either. I bet they lose by more than 20. Forget 8.5. I think they lose by 20 points plus to DC.
Gift.
Yeah, look, you know, last year I thought was Houston's last chance to be able to be a championship possible contender. And it looks like Houston is back despite basically redoing the whole roster. Look at Houston be able to get the win over Utah and to be able to cover. This team is looking different as the stretch goes.
And I'm going to go with Chicago. I think they bounce back after that loss in New England, and they hold off a very good LA team on a Monday night game. Let's take a break. We'll come back with the Premiership Super Rugby on our picks of the week after this. From New York City comes America's longest-running and most popular rugby show. The biggest names in Major League Rugby, MLR highlights, and big match previews. Rugby Wrap-Up presents MLR Weekly, made in New York City. Hey, U.S. fans, you can tune into every match live on Flow Rugby. How do we know that? Because we're on there all the time. And we're back once again. Let's go to the Premiership. Mike, who do you like in the Premiership?
I'm going to pick the tough game, but I think Northampton are going to play their big guns because they got to get them ready for the European final. Obviously, Saracens are on the hunt for points, but I don't see Saracens winning that game, and definitely by 6.5. So I'm going for Northampton to win that game, and so Northampton at home.
Mike, do you feel any added pressure since you were 5-0 in the Premiership last week?
I'll live for that pressure. I'll live for it.
Did Rocky Marciano have any pressure on his 49th fight?
He was brain dead.
Fights? No, he's the best damn heavyweight of all time.
Yeah, he didn't even know he didn't know what his name was. Who do you like, John?
That made no sense whatsoever. No sense. I mean, none.
This makes sense. None. Does this make sense?
Did Ali feel pressure against Cleveland Williams? Like, hey, this guy won't say your name. What are you going to do to him? Are you worried?
I can't mute you while you're making your pick. Make your pick.
Leicester needs points, too. I thought it was a great game last week. They need points. Bath doesn't. Give me Leicester. Those guys looked fantastic last week.
Gift.
Yeah, look for McGinty and the boys to be able to show up against Sale with Bristol. Man, I think this one's going to be a close one because this one's for the rankings. Bristol to cover.
All right, I'm going to take the Quins, the Harlequins, to have a big match.
And by the way, on Super Brew, I missed 5 games earlier in the year, and I'm still 3rd overall out of like 1 million people.
That's why you're on this program. You're good at what you do, Hall of Famer.
I'm on this program because I like King and Coach Mike.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. A little motorboating, perhaps? All right. Let's move over to Super Rugby.
We're
Mike,
going to
who do you
2
like-
cents rugby. We're all going. Not you, Matt.
Who do you like at Super Rugby, Mike?
I do like Pacifica, but I think the Blues are on fire, so I'm going for the Blues. I think the Blues win on the road, and I think they win well. So the Blues.
The Blues that Gift wrote off earlier in the season, along with the Crusaders. John, who do you
I
like?
think you
Whoa!
They were
I
red
never
for
wrote
the
off the
Blues.
Blues. I was giving false information that would have been supportive of them. The Crusaders forever. But we're not going to put fake news out there, sir. All right? You are not Caroline Levitt.
You're just gaslighting me now, man. You're just
Fake
gaslighting
news.
me.
Fake news. Go ahead, fake news.
John, who do you like?
I don't like anybody. It comes on at midnight here. I've never watched one game. I'm picking the Brumbies because somebody told me to.
You said the exact same thing last week. Can you say
I
something
didn't
a
watch
little?
any games last week. They come on at midnight. I'm in bed way before this. I'm 58 years old.
Gift, who do you like?
Waiting to be motorboated.
That'll wake him up.
That's exactly right.
Fijian Drua took a drubbing last week against the Blues. I'm looking for them to get a bounce back against the Western Force and get out of the bottom of the rankings here at Super Rugby and look for them to be able to at least barely cover against the Western Force.
All right, well, I'm going to round it out. Give me the Hurricanes, minus 12.5 versus the Highlanders. Now it's time for John's favorite segment, Picks of the Week. Johnny, who do you like?
Well, Matty, we have Monday Night Rugby. And I know you guys are the little pig and whistle when you go down there and get drunk every week, talk about how great you are playing rugby and all that bullshit. We don't like Monday Night Rugby because these guys are pros and they shouldn't have to play during the week. I love it. I think it's great. I bash that Major League Rugby scheduler all the damn time. I think this is a good move. I think the total goes over. I think these boys are going to be excited to play on Monday. Total goes over with Chicago.
Mike.
I'm going French. I've got to pick my away winner like I did last week, but I didn't cover it. But let it go, Mike. I've let it go. Toulon will be the sole away winner in the top 14 this week. That is my prediction.
Gift.
I'm looking at this Northampton Saracens game and be able to get at least an over-under. I think they're going to be scoring under 55 points. I think this is going to be a strong defensive game.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with an over.
Okay, all right. That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Under 55, is that really?
He analyzed the fact that you put.
All right, John is muted as I go to my pick. I'm going to pick the over.
See. 2
in
cents. 2
Houston
cents. Call us.
versus Utah match. I think that's going to be a track meet. Houston versus Utah in the over 47 points. And on that note, we are out of time. I want to thank John Bradshaw, Layfield, the WWE Hall of Fame return rugby advocate and lover of leprechauns. King Gift Egbelu, the inventor of words and father of twins. Mike Friday, the 3-time Olympic sevens coach. And George Hook, the Irish rugby legend. And of course, thank you. Please check out MLR Weekly. It's a good show. If you can, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.